Breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alerts.
A matter of hours ago, America received a huge win. You might not have noticed because of the bad press that it has been receiving, but it was a win nonetheless. That win was in the form of the travel ban that President Trump has been trying to enact, for all of our safety, being upheld and finally implemented properly. This ban means that there is a halt being called to anyone entering the United States from any of the 6 named countries who don't have any special exception, most of which were done away with. The ban was of course not well loved by liberals and those suffering from a massive dose of white guilt. The news was taken especially bad by those in areas with dense Muslim populations already. These are the places that, even though the areas become less and less livable with more Muslims, seem to have drunk the Kool-Aid that tells them it's all coincidental, and those who promise to kill us are cool people to have as neighbors. Minnesota is having an especially difficult problem with the ruling about the Muslim ban, in part because of the population that is already there, and Muslims seem to have strong opinions on it, and the locals have to live with them. While it might seem wise to nip something like this in the bud, those who face the possibility of angering the already volatile people probably have a different emotional reaction. While most probably wouldn't admit that they fear for their own safety, because that would be incredibly religiously insensitive, common sense tells us that when someone is mandated to kill us, if they're currently resisting that urge, we probably shouldn't take them off. After the ruling came down, it didn't take long for the complaints and sob stories to start pouring in. Fox 9 reports that the locals are getting more than a little restless. Hamline University student Colin Muhammad has about a dozen family members who were hoping to move to Minnesota from refugee camps in Kenya, but those plans have been put on hold indefinitely because of a new ruling by the nation's highest court. Those families, after they've gone through that process and now being told, "You are not going to be able to come in," Colin Muhammad said. It's going to devastate them for a long time. The U.S. Supreme Court says the Trump administration can fully enforce a travel ban on people from 6 majority Muslim countries while legal challenges make their way through the courts. Lower courts had ruled travelers from Chad, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen, who claimed they had bona fide connections to the U.S. like grandparents or in-laws, could be allowed into the country, but this ruling closes that loophole. While this portion of the ruling might seem strenuous, the trouble that we would be running into is that we're depending on paperwork from crumbling countries that we have little means of verifying. Let us face it, it would be incredibly easy for someone to claim a familial relation and pass a few dollars to someone who could forge a paper trail. We used to be able to trust but verify, but now even that isn't a reasonable solution. My first reactions are heartbreak, State Representative Ilhan Omar, DFL Minneapolis, said. I am really disappointed. I don't think any of us were expecting it. Crap. Omar says if the current ban were in place years ago, she wouldn't have been able to come to this country, where she became the first Somali-American Muslim lawmaker elected to public office in the U.S. She says the ban could affect hundreds of Somalis in Minnesota hoping to be reunited with their long-lost loved ones. You have hope, then you feel the rug is pulled from under you, Rep. Omar said. Muhammad believes his cousins, aunts, and uncles will eventually be able to join him here in the Twin Cities, but he is not holding his breath. I know things will get even worse, Muhammad said. I do believe things will get better, but not anytime soon. 2 challenges to the ban will be heard later this week before the U.S. Court of Appeals in both Richmond, Virginia, and Seattle. After those rulings, the losing sides will likely try to get a final verdict from the Supreme Court before the end of its term in June. One of the huge difficulties that we face right now, as a country, is trying to sort out the difference between our personal responsibility and the government's responsibility. For instance, we're not allowed to kill people, but the government can go to war and send people to kill. The same concept applies to compassion. As individuals, we should give food and shelter to those that we can help, but it's not the government's job to provide so much food and housing that its own people are put at risk. The individuals that we elect to public office should understand that fact, but it seems to be getting more and more uncommon. Case in point, New Brighton, Minnesota Mayor Val Johnson recently completely broke down at even the implication that someone she accused of having white privilege might actually see the world for what it is. In a world where nothing is more valuable than being woke, don't forget that the most important thing our government has to do is make sure that we're still alive to be awoken at all. And make no mistake, that is something that Muslims wish to take away from us. H/T, Fox 9. Follow us on Facebook at Freedom Daily.